recent years, much attention about e-safety has been focused on secondary schools. But with children using new technologies from an early age, primary schools need help too. This is why Securus has developed a new e-safety monitoring service for primary schools, which is conveniently hosted on the cloud. And over the next 15 minutes, we'd like to explain how this new service works, why it's so necessary, and how it enables head teachers to meet their safeguarding responsibilities. Unfortunately, most primary schools do not take e-safety seriously enough. While it's well understood how important it is to protect pupils in the playground, the same level of safeguarding is rarely applied when pupils use ICT in the internet. And this is often because staff lack the knowledge, skills and systems to recognise the risks. E-safety is an integral part of safeguarding, and it applies equally to the online world as the real world. It means being able to identify risks and being able to manage behaviour to prevent further risks in the future. To illustrate, let me offer a couple of familiar analogies. To make sure our children are safe around water, we teach them how to swim, but we limit the risks by putting extra safeguards in place like life belts, enforcing clear rules and employing lifeguards. To make sure our children are safe around traffic, we teach them how to cross the road, but we limit the risks by putting safeguards in place like barriers and crossings, walking our children to school and employing lollipop ladies. So why is it that in schools we encourage our pupils to use ICT and the internet, but we don't put systems in place to limit the risks? It's certainly essential that we teach pupils about e-safety, but education alone is not enough. Just like when we teach our pupils about how to swim or cross the road, we need to limit the risks by putting in place policies, safe practices and effective systems, and then test those measures to ensure they work effectively. Put simply, primary schools can no longer afford to ignore e-safety, and there are a number of reasons why primary schools need to take additional measures to limit risks. Firstly, children encounter e-safety risks as soon as they start school. From age 5, pupils can be upset or confused by something inappropriate they find online. The average child is said to intentionally access their first pornographic website aged 8, and by the time they're 9, 1 in 3 children will be using a social networking site. Children can be bullied at any age. So e-safety is not just an issue for secondary schools. Next, we need to recognise that while children may be confident and enthusiastic about ICT, they have little understanding about the risks. Until they develop the digital literacy skills to assess these risks, schools must have measures in place to keep them safe. Finally, Ofsted sees e-safety as part of its safeguarding criteria, in particular cyberbullying, and for schools to be judged as outstanding, they will be expected to identify, record and respond to incidents over a period of time. Without an effective monitoring system like Securus in place, schools find it impossible to react effectively to e-safety incidents and take action to prevent them. If you ask a head teacher what systems they have in place for identifying e-safety issues, they'll probably say internet filtering. But internet filters are not enough to limit risks. Schools, and schools alone, are responsible for e-safety as part of their duty of care, and Ofsted warns that schools should not rely on internet filters provided by their local authority to ensure pupil safety. In the event of a serious breach, it would be the head teacher who is held personally liable, and with more primary schools becoming academies, schools and their staff will be even more accountable. Also, it's inevitable that however good the filters, some inappropriate content will always get through. Even children at primary school know how to use proxy bypass sites, and the only way to know for sure whether your pupils have seen something upsetting or inappropriate is to monitor exactly what they see and do. And Securus offers a safety net which highlights any inappropriate content that slips through those filters. However, the main reason why internet filtering is insufficient is that it only manages content and content from outside the school? What about issues that start inside school? E-safety is as much about how pupils behave as the content they're exposed to online, and pupils need to be encouraged to act appropriately and be shown what they could do differently when they act in an unsafe way. School staff need to know whether pupils have made upsetting or bullying comments, used bad language, talked to people they've met online, or revealed too much personal information about themselves. We also need to recognise that children are now creators of their own content. Children might make inappropriate comments on a blog, social networking site, or even the school VLE. They might upload or publish inappropriate content, or bring games and other materials into school by email or on a flash drive. While it might be easy to spot inappropriate behaviour in the classroom or the playground, it's much harder when it happens through new technologies. Securus enables staff to detect these e-safety issues and to educate their pupils on how to act appropriately. So primary schools need to protect pupils as part of a duty of care, as well as manage their pupils' behaviour. Ideally, this is done in real situations by empowering students to manage some risks for themselves.